I didn't realize I was going to be on fucking video.
Me neither,
Yeah,
man.
you
I would
did.
have
I
thrown a
told you that.
jersey
I
on or
didn't
maybe
tell
some
you
pants. So maybe I would have worn some
I'm sure
pants.
he's got a jersey for you.
I don't want a jersey.
No, I'm good. I'll pass. I don't need no Riley Cooper jersey.
This is your forecast.
For the UFL forecast, right? That's what we're doing.
That could be good. I don't know enough players though.
I suggested doing that, and you said I didn't want to watch football that much. So
No, I didn't want to watch UFL. Sometimes I'll just watch a game and then I'll just get bored and start watching something else.
it's like the NFL draft.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they didn't have any games on during the NFL draft.
Lots of highlights.
Yeah.
Few lowlights too. They love to show all the bad moments in guys' careers.
Well, this is why we have Nate, and we're glad to have him back with us for two reasons.
Be back.
First of all, it's the draft, and he's like our Mel Kiper. So
This is the best time of year. You know? I mean, this is.
Don't say Mo Kiper. That's an assault.
okay,
Dude hasn't gotten the one pick right in the last 20 years.
But
okay, what about Todd
you
McShay?
keep seeing him every year. That's gonna be me.
Also, me and Jacob was just agreeing way too much. I
Yeah.
felt like
I need some
Yeah.
dissension in here, break
Yeah.
things up a little bit.
Well,
I don't mind being that guy. I can
one
do
of the
that.
things was Marvin Harrison Jr. We were just floored by how high he was ranked, and we're gonna let you be devil's advocate in this one.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we definitely have a little bit of a difference of where we rank him. Like we talked about a little bit, where for me, I have him right about 6. So there's the obvious top 4. You know, you got Jamar Chase, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra. And then I'm going to put Puka over him personally. And then after that, I'm probably going Marvin Harrison over, A.J. Brown, Drake London, Olave, Garrett Wilson, all those guys. Just because I'm so confident at him at least reaching that level of receiver. So, like, we see Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave have had 2 back-to-back years where they just barely broke 1,000 yards. They're top 20-ish receivers. Olave did a little bit better this year for sure. But specifically Garrett Wilson we've seen for 2 straight years, just because of his pedigree and his young age
Yeah.
and all the hype that was around him. It almost doesn't matter how bad he's been through 2 years. Not that he's been bad.
Yeah.
He's had a terrible situation, but he hasn't produced like a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I think Marvin Harrison has that same insulation, except he's stepping right into an offense with what I see as a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see him being in that spot to where it's like taking over from Garrett Wilson, Drake London. The part that I just don't see how you can go over like A.J. Brown. I can understand Tyreek Hill because he's getting older.
Right.
This is the last year that
I think he has
was
2
saying.
years left on that deal.
Okay.
But yeah, he had mentioned retiring. when it
Yeah,
was over,
so I can understand the age thing, but like A.J. Brown, well, he's only 26.
Yeah, 26.
I see his value being over there being too high to like trade him for like Marvin Harrison because it's just the production is just there.
I can see why you would, if you have the number 1 pick, you're probably not very good. So I can see why you would want Marvin Harrison Jr. over. But if you already have A.J. Brown,
Right.
what's the incentive there for trading? Because you probably are pretty good if you have A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Yeah, I think it comes down to timelines, and A.J. Brown's a stud, so I'm never going to be like,
Yeah.
that's a terrible trade
Yeah,
if somebody
yeah.
swapped him, because we saw A.J. Brown go on a 6-week streak last season where he had 125 yards and a touchdown every
Yeah.
single game. He was setting NFL records for the first half of the season, and he just kind of tailed off at the end. And I think he's definitely taken a bit of a hit in value that he shouldn't have, but
Yeah. No, I don't think you can just have your opinion say like, oh, it wasn't a good, trade if you're trading A.J. Brown
Right.
for it. But at the end of the day, both should be good players.
Exactly.
So both teams are.
yeah, you're almost splitting hairs at that
Yeah.
point.
We're always talking about these trades in a vacuum, but every team is, like you said, the time
Yeah.
of it.
Context means everything.
Yeah.
League settings, league size, all that stuff
Yeah.
makes a difference
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the grand scheme of
Some
things.
people like to collect first round picks,
Yeah.
and this if you
That's
collected right. if you were the guy that collected first round picks this year, it's a good year.
Man,
We've
if-
had fantasy relevant players in the top 10, 8 of them. I don't think that's ever happened.
No,
I
and it's-
believe it's a record for wide receivers in the first round.
Yep. And it's not only that. When you think about the way people were talking about so many of these receivers before the draft even, the hype is still there on the guys that were taken in the second and third round. If you even pick midway through the second, I'm still pretty confident you're getting a player that as an asset, a tradable piece, is going to be very liquid. People are going to be into him because the rookie fever is out of control this year. I mean, people are obsessed with guys this year. So,
Who's your rookie fever guy?
My rookie fever, and it actually fits it perfectly. Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey is like, dude, like your brother's in there. Like, I don't know, you just get excited for those type of guys. And I have a big theory on people who have a brother in the.
Okay, hold on. I'm a little behind on this one. Christian McCaffrey's his brother?
Yeah.
correct.
Oh.
This is his younger brother drafted to the Commanders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's the problem. He's drafted to the Commanders. Not because I'm an Eagles fan, but just because the Commanders are just kind of like in a weird place right now.
Yeah, I agree. As a Commanders fan, I see the hype for him, and they desperately do need help as a third receiver. I mean, they brought back Jamison Crowder, who's 32 years old, to come play the slot. And I think McCaffrey could play that large slot role and get the designs, targets that guys like Curtis Samuel and Antonio Gibson got the last few years. Obviously, this is going to be a totally different scheme. But yeah, just like you said, the name itself is going to hold value on its own. So,
and
What's your theory, by the way?
Oh, yeah, dude. I just feel like there's so many brothers in the NFL. There's maybe a couple that don't really work out, like Amon-Ra. I think his brother.
Equinemius, he's not quite as talented.
But like, there's just so many guys like T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt. I could go on for a couple.
Do you think Do you think he was drafted higher because he
was drafted in the third, so it could be a case where he got drafted. He could have been like an undrafted type of guy, but
I don't know. I don't put too much stock in the name thing, especially when you see somebody like Brendan Rice, Jerry Rice's son, was a 7th round pick this year, I believe. So I don't think like they were putting crazy stock into certain name power, but I do think it helps to a degree. Like he might have been a 4th rounder and now he's a 3rd rounder. Like Brendan Rice probably wasn't going to get drafted, but he is Jerry Rice's son. You know, you got to take a shot. Like somebody's going to spend a 7th round pick on that.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool when the Steelers took Joey Portis.
Yeah. That
Well,
was really
the Eagles
cool.
did that this year. Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
I'm
really cool.
for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So who's your winner then?
Oh man, my winner is going to be Rome Odunze, and I know people aren't going to like the landing spot because you got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and a rookie quarterback, and Matt Eberflus calling plays. Like, I get it, but you're getting him in the mid to late first now. Like he's the 7th or 8th guy off the board, and he's a guy who,
He was
I mean,
projected
a
high.
month ago everybody said it's the big 3 receivers and Caleb. Like
Yeah.
that's the top 4 picks.
Yeah.
Like you can't take Malik Neighbors or Drake May over them, and obviously, the draft capital that they got, they're going to be right up there at least in the top
How often
5.
are you going to get rookie wide receiver that was taken top 10 in like the middle of the first year?
Exactly. I mean, the depth for the elite players in this class is so large. So getting him that late, plus I feel like he has insulated value, and it's similar to how JSN season went, where coming in, we don't have the expectation of him being the number 1 or even the number 2. There's 2 talented players ahead of him, just like for JSN, he had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So the expectations are already lowered to the point where, that's probably where his value will stay. Like, he's going to stay a top 20 receiver again this time next year, and if he doesn't perform, you can find somebody who will give you a mid to late first, and you just get your value back and you can re-roll.
Yeah.
So I really like that. It feels really safe
In other
this
words,
year.
you're saying he's not going to have a Quentin Johnston kind of looking good.
Well, we'll see. If Keenan Allen and DJ Moore go down and he puts up a stinker like Quentin Johnson, then maybe he will, but...
I mean, the production could be the same as Quentin Johnson, but no, I don't think anybody will care.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Though if you watch him and he plays like Quentin Johnson, then you might want to be like a little worried.
Yep, it's all about windows. That window of opportunity is there a little bit longer than people think.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
But you gotta be willing to jump on it.
The guy that I'm picking also has a weird window. How do you pronounce his name?
Ricky Pearsall?
Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, Ricky Pearsall.
I had never even heard of this guy. And I'm looking him up after he got drafted.
You just see the catch.
No, that's not what I saw. First was his combine.
He's
You bring it
a
up on
beast.
the screen here. It's very similar to Julio Jones. He's just a little bit lighter. You don't have to do it. I told you Jude will do it.
Okay.
But I was wondering why he didn't get more hype before the draft.
So Ricky Pearsall, super talented player. He's dealt with a little bit of injuries in his college time, And he also kind of has a bit of an ego to him, has been the rumors, where there's a bit of a, some red flags there about some off-field situations and stuff. And, the details don't matter too much because at the end of the day, first-round draft capital to an organization that's a proven winner. And it's kind of like I mentioned with their Doomsday, where, I feel like the expectation is down the shitter for Ricky Pearsall. Like, I see mocks where he's a mid-second round pick.
Yeah.
Like, people are taking guys, that were mid-seconds, third-round running backs and stuff over a first-round wide receiver. I mean, that's pretty insane to me. That's great value.
Well, and I was thinking about him with how Brandon Ayuk was the biggest trade rumor. He's getting traded.
Yep.
Well, I think everybody knows Ayuk's saying, well, what happens if Debo goes?
Right.
So now you got 2 wide receivers. He's probably the number 2 right there.
Yeah,
he could still be the number 2 over Debo right now, where they just use Debo as a gadget guy.
Right.
So with him being in that offense.
Yep.
He's definitely more of a in the mold of Brandon Ayuk than he is Debo.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
actually
sure.
a pure receiver.
Yeah.
Run down, get a
Yeah, he's got great route running too. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a big fan of everything I've seen from him. Obviously, he has the best hands in the class. I don't really think that's even up for debate. I don't think he has a single drop in his entire college career. Like, he's never been credited with one. So to do the things he did,
He's fast.
I did see him drop one. Well, they actually on YouTube they have an all 22 of him
oh yeah,
playing against somebody. He dropped one. But,
gotcha.
But you can see him what I like about him is he's a smart player if you really watch him.
Oh,
He's
okay.
running. No, he is though.
I get it.
Go ahead. We'll say what you gotta say. Then.
No, I'm just saying, I get it. Look at his picture.
Oh, I got you.
I get it.
Yeah, he's got to be smart. He's a hard worker,
Yeah.
team player.
Can't believe the Patriots didn't draft this guy. Niners really beat him too.
All right, so who's your loser then? We'll
Um,
start with you again.
Oh yeah, my loser is going to be the wide receiver out of like South Carolina State or North Carolina State, Xavier Leggett. I think he's just buns. I think the Panthers are buns, so they make a buns decision by drafting him. And
That's called helmet scouting.
yeah, well, I don't care what it's called. I think it's buns. So yeah, I think they're going to make a bad decision just because they want to keep him in state or something like that. But I think they're.
I think that's why they did it.
Well, I think there's some level there.
Like
Maybe
the Kenny Pickett situation.
Kenny Pickett, Xavier, or not Aiden Hutchinson. I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think also just it's not a really good offense. You got
I mean, it's not.
I just don't.
It's not all roses and the
Yeah,
flower
they're-
petals over in Carolina.
And
It's a tough situation.
He's just not going to be the guy to be like, I'm going to bring this offense together. So I just think it's just going to be a mess again.
Yeah, I agree with that for the most part. I think just looking at him from a breakout age standpoint, the senior year breakout is a giant red flag to me, especially when you look at the production he had in the first 3 seasons. Didn't even have 200 total yards in 3 seasons. It's not like he wasn't getting on the field. He was a regular player.
Yeah.
So for him to take that long to really step up, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, it kind of brings into question, is he just 3 or 4 years older than everybody now, and he's just a grown man?
Yeah.
So it is a worry, but at the same time, it's first-round draft capital there. So, I mean, it's sometimes it is worth the risk. It's tough.
I tend to go with the draft capital thing, but I don't know. It's going to be. You have to know when to sort of veer from that.
Yep,
And
I agree. I think he is a name that just people are already down on. So I can understand why people are taking a guy like Ladd McConkey, who was a second-round pick, because just people love the name.
Yeah.
Not just because his name is cool, but like he's just a name that has a lot of buzz around him, and he went to a good landing spot.
Yeah. Let's say you lost a player and you need a better name, dude. There's a bunch of names you could do for your fantasy team with Ladd McConkey.
I agree. I will say this though: have you guys
He's a
heard
smart
Xavier
player, too.
Leggett's accent?
Yeah,
Man, that thing is tough. I love that accent. He seems like a great guy.
It's like really like southern. Right?
Yeah, he sounds like he's straight out of Forrest Gump.
Yeah,
Like he is incredibly southern. Like he's.
Have you seen what they've been saying about your accent and how much people really love it?
Oh yeah, man, they've been dragging it all over social media. They've been dragging it all over social media, man. I just tell folk, man, they really just ain't never heard nobody talk for money.
That's good enough for me. Yeah,
Why did we have to pause?
he can
You
figure
could've
that
just
out.
done
He can,
it.
yeah, he can put a clip in there.
Yeah.
so who's your loser other than me?
Well,
Oh, you already said yours. See, that's why I paused. I got to say my loser.
I didn't say mine.
Leggett?
Nah, that's his.
That's
Yeah,
mine.
Coleman.
Oh,
Yeah,
Coleman.
let's
go ahead.
pause again.
Let's say a prayer.
Moment of silence. Okay, so who's your
I
guy?
don't, know,
Who's your?
I
who's
don't
your,
even know half these names. That's the problem. So,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
Yeah.
my loser is Keon Coleman. I know that's probably going to be a little bit of a hot take
Yeah.
because the landing spot is obviously a dream.
Mhm.
I mean, people were going to like any receiver that landed in Buffalo. Coleman just never stood out to me on tape. He performed very poorly at the combine. It just all didn't really add up, and the Bills had the opportunity to take him twice
Yeah.
at the end of the first round, and they traded back both times. And I understand that there's a little bit of finesse to that,
Yeah.
but I mean, you don't nickel and dime with the guy you're so excited about, especially when the difference is getting that fifth-year option on that receiver.
Yeah.
If they were that confident in him, it almost says to me like, you know, they had 4 or 5 guys there, and they were like, we'll just take whatever's left. We
Yeah.
need one, and you know, we don't really have any distinction.
Maybe we're trying to get a little draft capital, so we'll let the Chiefs. We don't think he's going to take a receiver.
And that's fair. I just think I would capitalize. Like if I drafted Keon
absolutely.
Coleman, or he's like, you know, the hotness when my pick's up, I'd be looking to move out of that pick just like the Bills did because I don't believe in that player. So that's just kind of where I'm at with him.
Would you say that he's buns?
Yeah.
Buns is probably a solid word.
I usually avoid these kind of guys
Yeah.
where they are. Everybody's excited about him because he goes to the Bills,
Right.
But
I mean, we've seen this with the Chiefs the last several years.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked out to varying degrees. We saw Rashee Rice last year, who did work out from an NFL standpoint,
Yeah.
but you know, there's a little bit of a situation going on there now. So as an
Yeah.
asset, it's kind of in a weird state. And then there's the other end of the spectrum where you have Sky Moore, who's getting propped up into the end of the first round of rookie drafts last year, or 2 years ago rather, and he's not ownable. You can't roster him.
Yeah.
Like you're wasting a roster spot though. Scott.
not even in our league.
Yeah, like shallow leagues. Like this is
Yeah.
a 10-team start 9, like super shallow. This is a redraft
No,
league.
I'm
basically.
saying though, like even in, it's hard to justify keeping him in the Spudge League even.
Right. Hey, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, the deeper leagues. Yeah. I mean, I play in a 14-team start 10, and he's not up. Like it's that bad. Where people are like, I don't even care that he's a Mahomes receiver
Yeah.
because I'm
You
not.
got Justin Watson, but not Scott Moore.
Exactly. Yep. For
Okay,
sure.
So I was torn between Brock Bowers and
Bowers
J.J.
is a
McCarthy.
Big time loser.
But I'm going with McCarthy because I'm just
Really?
getting some serious Mac Jones vibes from him.
Yeah.
I don't.
He was not projected to go that high, and that's scary to think. Like,
Dude, most mocks I saw had the Vikings trading up to pick 4 to get him.
Yeah,
that's
I think-
crazy.
And he made it all the way back to 11 or wherever there. Or no, they traded up to 10 to grab him.
Yeah. The thing that I like to look at is what people were projected to go before, like at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like and he was not even in the first round. And what changes within that time? You
Wins the
get
national
a
championship.
combine? No, that was before. The championship's before the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And then so yeah, the only thing that changes is maybe the combine or whatever. So like I can see a little bit, but going up from the second to the first, I just think
Isn't there a part aspect of that though that nobody knows anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with
There
that.
is,
I think
yeah.
it becomes the world outside of football is focused on like mock drafts and things like that, and fantasy experts and things like that. Guys like us,
Yeah.
just schmucks, are like, this is what I think, and then we start getting small rumors and leaks from real GMs, real scouts, guys who do this for a living, and that's how all these mock drafts shift a lot. And I mean, I think even a guy like Jim Harbaugh, like going to bat for McCarthy so regularly after he got his job, talking about how he thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. I mean, people respect Jim Harbaugh. Obviously, he's just pumping up his guy, but I
That's his
mean,
boy, right? I mean,
yeah, and I agree. He's just saying that. But on the other hand, it's like, Harbaugh isn't exactly an offensive guru, and he built the team around his strengths
Yeah.
and won a national championship.
And what was his strengths? Running the ball.
I mean, I can say the same things about Brock Purdy. He looks very similar on tape to Brock Purdy to me.
The thing is, that Brock Purdy is what ends up being his special ability is being able to process information so quickly that he
Right.
can get rid of. He knows where to go with the ball. And
Yeah, he's a super smart player.
Yeah.
And we just you're not going to be able to know that about somebody until you see it on the field.
Yeah.
So
Right, I
you're
agree.
counting on McCarthy having that kind of ability,
Right.
and you can't tell just from watching the college whether he has it or not. But because he's got that same, not a big arm, not
Yeah.
big, not fast. Now I'll say this: he does have Justin Jefferson to throw the ball to. and
Yeah,
that's
that makes
gonna help
it
him.
that makes it a lot
For
easier.
sure.
That's probably going to help him put up numbers, but that's not going to help him win games.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be
But
tough.
we don't care about that. Remember?
I know
I
you don't,
agree.
but you still have to though, because
he
look,
needs
Justin
to be the
Fields.
starter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
no, you make a great point though about like the way Brock Purdy wins and processing information and
Yeah.
stuff like that. A Brock Purdy talent, like a guy like that, is
Should be
not a
in the
normal.
top five, right?
It's not a normal fantasy,
Yeah.
winner. Like that's not a difference maker normally. He gets to play with maybe the best offensive court role, best head coach as far as offensive schemes go, the best
Not in
running
the
back
Super
of the
Bowl.
last 15 years. Yeah, not in the Super Bowl. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing there, but best running back in the league probably in the last 15 years, besides for Adrian Peterson. Like it's
Yeah.
really them two, in my opinion.
Weapons. Like
Yeah, I
Debo,
mean, all kinds of weapons.
Kittle.
They're still investing weapons. They just got him another first-round pick wide receiver we talked about earlier. A great defense.
The offensive line.
Like, I think-
No,
I think-
that's not true. The
Yeah,
offensive
okay,
line is
sure.
terrible.
They have
They're
Trev
definitely-
Williams, that's
They're
it.
definitely willing to
Trev
put money
Williams,
into it.
Huh? What's that?
They're definitely willing to put money into their offense.
Yeah, no, that team is willing to. They're an aggressive team, and they're willing to make mistakes.
They
and
put
overpay.
money. They put money into
Yeah,
their
they try.
defensive line, and they're just like the Eagles. But they don't care about their offensive line as much, though. They haven't even replaced that guard that lost in the Super Bowl.
It's tough. Yeah, it's a bad move for him. But
The guard that lost them the Super Bowl. They
He had
didn't
the-
replace it.
yeah, the false start or whatever or
And the
something.
one I'm thinking of is where he double teamed the tackle. And
Oh
left
right,
the very
yeah,
last play of the game.
yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing a clip of them talking like to him about it, and he was just sick, just absolutely miserable.
Well, why are they asking about it? Like, you don't
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
that's terrible.
We can argue about whoever, but we all know that Michael Penix is a loser from this draft.
Massive loser.
Massive
Dude,
loser.
when did, okay, how long
But
did
is
that-
he though? Because I mean, eighth
He
overall pick. That's
Eighth.
insane capital.
paid for
Right?
Yeah.
for at least 2 years.
I mean, being a top 8 pick is massively higher than I thought he was going to be drafted. So from that aspect, he's
Yeah.
a winner because if you do draft him in 2 or 3 years, he's going to have the Jordan Love experiment where he's at least worth a late first just for the look at the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I
So
can see that.
he's going to retain some value, and I mean, I guess you can say there's some upside there just because you never know. Kirk's coming back from a torn
Yeah.
Achilles at age 37, so there is a little bit of risk there. We haven't seen him play since then, but as far as his contract goes, I mean, he's pretty much there for the next 2
Yeah.
years.
Hypothetically, if you have Kirk Cousins on your team, when do you pull the trigger on Penix?
Why do you call him
Penix?
Penix?
Penix, I think.
Why would you say
That's
that?
the way it's spelled.
No.
Like,
I mean,
That you still don't say it. Okay.
yeah, Jude, blur all those when
yeah,
he says
please.
Phoenix.
Yeah, what the I would say 2 years. 2 years is my spot. That's when I believe they can opt out or something like that. But either way, I think that's how much time they normally give a quarterback of
Gotcha.
that
So
type
you
of
think it'll
area.
take about that long?
Yeah.
Feel that. It's tough because I think Penix is a great investment if in a super flex league you already feel very comfortable with your quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like if you have 2 starters and you're like, say you're picking at the 112 or something,
Yeah.
and you earned it, like you just won. So you have a solid team.
Yeah.
You're ready to run it back, and you can just bank on this for 2 years. I'm okay with just
Yeah,
saying I get a
taxi
top
squad.
10 picks quarterback. And pop him on my taxi squad for 2 years, and hopefully I have an asset from that
Yeah.
because I don't need it right this second necessarily. But man, if I just have Kirk, say I have like Kirk and then like Anthony Richardson, somebody like I am a little bit worried about.
or say Brock Purdy, just for this type of stuff.
Yeah, okay, Brock Purdy. I
That's
mean that
the
makes it
other quarterback.
tough.
You have Brock Purdy and
Kirk?
and you're picking number 8. That's
I'm picking number 8. I personally am not going to go Penix in that scenario. I'd be more comfortable taking Bo Nix, just because I know he has a job for the
Yeah.
next 2 years. Like if with that quarterback room,
Dude,
it's
that
good
was-
but not great, and I need the potential for a difference maker. And not that I'm very comfortable with Bo Nix as a player, and the talent level I've seen, but at some point you just have to decide: the NFL is probably smarter than me, and quarterbacks in the first round have like a 56% hit rate or so for fantasy purposes, so that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty much covers it. We're going to say one more question. This is more of a philosophical question.
Gotcha.
Would you rather have your fantasy wide receiver get in an accident on the highway and flee the scene, or get shot at a nightclub? We'll start with you, Jake.
I'm saying getting shot.
Man,
Yeah, dude. I think it just adds to their story, and I think that now everybody
Street cred levels up, man.
yeah, street cred, and I just think everybody's gonna be rooting for him now. Same like, dude, I was
Same old place
I will say
that you
this,
laughed
Paramount
about.
came back.
Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around. Who'd have thought they'd lead you